Why is it so hard for them to understand shall not be infringed is the law of the land? I mean, we're still in America, aren't we? People ask how an old codger like me stays in shape. The fact is, 80% of being healthy is what you cram or don't cram into your pie hole. You've probably already heard of the ketogenic or keto diet. To sum it up, it's a high-fat, moderate protein, low-carb diet that forces your body to burn fat rather than the glucose or simple sugars that so many people are addicted to. The bottom line is this kind of diet works. And I use Keto Elevate because it's specifically designed to help quickly and efficiently raise your ketone levels so you can reap the major benefits of the keto diet lifestyle. And guys, this isn't just an ad. This stuff really works. Use my link in the description, ketowithflix.com, and get 51% off while supplies last. I heard today that they're trying to build a fence around, like they're trying to build a legal fence. They're constructing a legal wall as a barrier to protect the Second Amendment. So they're creating a law to protect the Second Amendment. My question is, are they going to have to make a law that protects the law that protects the Second Amendment? And how far do you go with that? If you have to make a law to protect the Second Amendment, like, you know, they're trying to make Oklahoma, just like Texas, a sanctuary, a Second Amendment sanctuary state. If you have to make a law to protect the law, that's a redundancy. It's like you're basically saying with that second law that the first law is no good. It doesn't make any sense to me, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you just a real quick question. What is necessary? What in the minds of the framers of the Constitution was necessary for the security of a free state? What in the minds of the constitutional framers was necessary, couldn't do without it, to the security of a free state? The answer would be found in the first part of the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. 27 very, very simple words. Yeah, I can see how regulation or regulated can throw people off where they think, see, there's government control right there. The government needs to step in and control those militias. That's not what they were talking about. They were talking about a well-disciplined, well-run, well-organized militia being necessary to the security of a free state. It almost harkens back to what Patrick Henry said when he said, guard with jealous attention the public, not safety, the public liberty. Suspect everyone who comes near that precious jewel. Unfortunately, nothing will preserve it but downright force. And then Patrick Henry said, when you give up that force, you are ruined. Back to the Second Amendment. A well-regulated or disciplined or prepared or well-oiled militia is necessary to the security of a free state. You can never give up your force. If you give up your force and you let somebody come to near and touch the precious jewel of liberty, because they're not coming to touch it to caress it and to say, "Oh, I'm glad you're here, liberty." Anybody who's coming near that precious jewel is coming to take it away from you. And the only thing that's going to stop it in the minds of people like Patrick Henry way back then during Constitution days was downright force. You give up that force, you're screwed. So now we have the Supreme Court to hear major gun rights appeal over carrying concealed handguns in public. This title of this thing is laughable. To hear a major gun rights appeal. You don't appeal rights. You don't abridge rights. You don't infringe on rights. They are what the Declaration of Independence calls unalienable. And what's funny to me is these Supreme Court black-robed tyrants are not just going to sit there and go, hey, I took a pledge. I gave my word. I gave my oath. I swore. Even go to the extent of putting my hand on a Bible and raising my right hand toward heaven to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I swear to uphold the Second Amendment. How would you even sit there for a second and entertain the hearing of a major gun rights appeal? When you're saying, hey, the supreme law of the land, I'm concerned. I consider that the supreme law of the land, this is from the perspective of the Supreme Court justices, I consider that the supreme law of the land is the Constitution of the United States and it cannot be abridged or infringed. Declaration of Independence makes it really clear. We hold these truths, calls it a truth, to be self-evident. In other words, everybody knows it, that all men were created equal, that those men and women, are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. What does unalienable mean? It's impossible to remove them. You can't even give them. So you obviously can't remove them. If they're unalienable rights, then what's the Supreme Court even entertaining the idea, the mere idea, not even before their desk, but the mere idea of a major gun rights appeal over carrying concealed handguns in public? Supreme Court agrees to hear what could be the biggest gun rights case in more than a decade. I thought we had a Second Amendment. I thought it mattered. Because if you had a Second Amendment that truly mattered, there would be no gun rights case. It's already signed, sealed, and delivered. It's written in stone. It can't be moved. It's unalienable back then, now, and forever shall be unmovable. What's there to hear? Let's look at this. Look at the wording here, guys. Let me expand this thing so you can see it. This is laughable and it's mockable, and I can't not make a video about it. The Supreme Court announced today, that's on Monday, that it will hear a major gun rights case over whether ordinary citizens, there's your class system. You got the judges, you got the politicians, you got the presidents, you got the governors, and then you got the ordinary citizens. Guess what? All men were created equal. We're all ordinary, or none of us is ordinary. So basically, by saying that everybody else is ordinary citizens, they're saying that they're special. And second of all, you're not a citizen, I'm not a citizen. We're human beings. We're individuals. Citizen connotates that you're some kind of corporate entity, and you aren't. You're not a citizen, you're an individual. And if we're ordinary, they're ordinary, everybody's ordinary. But what they're implying here is that they're special. They have qualified immunity. They can make decisions that you're going to have to follow. And if you don't follow them, then you will be punished. And in their minds, you're rightly punished because you disobeyed our authority. So going on, it says they're going to check out, they're going to hear this major gun rights case over whether ordinary citizens can be legally prohibited. How about infringed upon? Legally? What is that? What is legality and illegality? It's a construct of the mind. It has nothing to do with reality. It's all fictitious. It's all made up. There's no legal or illegal. That's a man-made, made-up concept to keep the underlings or ordinary citizens in line. Can be legally prohibited or infringed upon from carrying concealed handguns for self-defense outside their homes. It's settled in the Second Amendment. And I hate that I even have to do this, but look at, here's the Second Amendment right here. A well-regulated militia, a well-disciplined militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. There is no debate. There's no beginning of a debate, so there can't be an end of a debate. That they would even go there means that they don't give a damn about your rights. And they're always willing to hear a case that's going to put one of your rights on the chopping block. And that makes them your enemy. I don't see another way around it. If you guys do, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. The case brought by the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association challenges a New York law that prohibits citizens from carrying a gun outside their homes without a license that state makes difficult to obtain. So the state of New York makes it very difficult. If you live in New York, you know how difficult it is. We've done videos on it. We've seen videos from people who live in New York, how difficult it is to obtain a personal protection device. When it's according to the Declaration of Independence, the framers of the Constitution, it's your God-given right to have that. Nobody should infringe on it. And there's New York infringing on it. Quite un-American. That one thing right there tells me that none of the rulers, none of the oligarchs, none of the politicians, none of the congressmen, none of the senators, none of the governors have ever given a damn about the Second Amendment, even though they give lip service to it when they're sworn in. They don't care. They don't care about the Second Amendment. They don't care about your unalienable rights. They don't think they're unalienable, or they wouldn't be making all these laws. They don't buy into shall not be infringed. If they did, they wouldn't be making all these rules and regulations and ordinances that you have to jump through. And if you don't obey them, then you get sent to jail because you want to defend yourself and your family. It's mockable, it's laughable, it's sad, it's infuriating. The petition for a writ of certiorari, I think that's how they say that. This is the state in which a higher court can judge the decision of a lower court, is granted limited to the following question, quote, whether the state's denial of petitioners' applications for concealed carry licenses for self-defense violated the Second Amendment, the court said in an order. You're kidding me. First of all, you shouldn't have to petition anybody if you have a right, because not because you're a citizen, not because you're an American, not because you're somebody that lives in a certain geographic location, but because you're a human being. You already have an unalienable right to bear whatever arm you want to that you think you need. You don't have to offer anybody an explanation of why you need it. You don't have to go through hoops and say, well, I need this and I need this many bullets with it. You don't need to give an answer to anybody. You are your own individual, and it's nobody else's business what you got. It's called shall not be infringed. The state requires license applicants. That's a joke. What is a license? A license is a permission slip. Permission slip boils down to, it's this simple, guys. This man right here thinks that he has the right to take your right away and then sell it back to you to the highest bidder. Hey, I know that the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence says you have unalienable rights, and that right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But what I'm telling you right now is I'm above the law. I'm above the Second Amendment. I'm above the Constitution. I'm above the Declaration of Independence. You do not have the right to keep and bear arms unless you get this permission slip from me. And then, oh, by the way, you got to pay a little fee too. And that's going to expire, so you got to constantly pay for that fee. Here's my permission slip. Now I have wait a second, I have an unalienable right. Why do I have a permission slip? That doesn't make any sense. It's all hypocritical. It's all inconsistent. It's all contradictory. The state requires license applicants to show that proper cause exists for a person to have one. And who determines that? Who's going to determine, oh, okay, Sally over here has a proper cause, but Jenny over here doesn't? I would say living in New York constitutes a proper cause for owning a firearm. Wouldn't you? And besides that, you owe nobody an explanation of why you need a firearm or want or desire. Hey, I just desire it. And besides that, I don't answer to you. Who are you? You think you're above me? Well, actually they do. That's how they act. Cops think they're above you. Politicians, the congressmen, the senators, the governors, they all think they're above you because they write these laws where if you don't follow them, they're going to punish you like a little kid. Go to your room. And the room is in a cage, and you're not going to be able to get out of the room. We'll give you 3 hots and a cot, and then you're going to have to pay for all your legal fees. New York is among 8 states that limit who has the right to I just can't even believe this comes from Fox, guys. This comes from Fox. There should literally be a laugh track on this. New York is among 8 states that limit who has the right to carry a weapon in public. If a man or a group of men or some group of people thinks that they have a right to tell you what you have a right to do, then they're automatically saying they are above you. How pompous. How evil. The others are California, of course, Delaware, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. The case could be the biggest gun rights case the High Court has heard in more than a decade, as the High Court in recent years has rarely weighed in on the Second Amendment. Paul Clement, representing the challengers to the New York's permit law, said the court should use the case to settle the issue once and for all. Thus, the nation is split, with the Second Amendment alive and well in the vast middle of the nation and those same rights disregarded near the coast. The Second Amendment is not alive and well anywhere in the United States. Nowhere. Does it look like it's a little bit better in my state of Oklahoma, or maybe in the state of Texas or Missouri, because we have constitutional carry. You shouldn't even have to say that. It's like, look, Second Amendment, we don't have anything to add to it. We don't have anything to take away from it. We don't need to build a razor wire fence or a wall around it. It is what it is. It's either potent or it isn't. If we start making laws to guard and protect the Second Amendment and make sure that we have a Second Amendment sanctuary, then you've just made the law that you swore to, that you said is the supreme law of the land, impotent, completely impotent. If it's not the standard, if it's not the end all and be all, and you need something else to help it along or to protect it because it's so weak and it's so vague, and what does it mean? A right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't know. We need to protect that. Then you have an impotent law, and it can't be the supreme law of the land. It's a joke. It's a freaking joke. Every time they make a law, they're basically telling you the Constitution is worthless. Just like Lysander Spooner said. Whether the Constitution be one thing or another, this much is certain. It's either authorized such a government as we've had, a tyrannical government, or it's been unable to stop it. In either case, it's unfit to exist. So obviously, when you're making a law to protect the Constitution, it's unfit to exist. When you have a constitution and then you have all this tyranny, like, you know, the IMF controls Congress, the IRS controls us because it's the biggest domestic terror cell in the land. The international banking cartel owns the money supply and the value thereof. Basically, they own your time and laboring energies because that's what you're working for. That's what you're spending your time for, to accumulate money that they own the value of. Then you got nothing. You got no supreme law of the land. They don't care about the supreme law of the land. That's why Amschel Rothschild said, give me control over a nation's money. I don't care what the law is. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care if there's a Second Amendment or a First Amendment or a Fourth Amendment. I'm an international banker, and I own the value of your time and labor. What are you going to do about it? Make all the laws you want to. Knock yourself out. I don't give a damn. That's how the international banking cartel looks at it. And if we don't lay the axe to the root of that tree right there, we're going to continue getting stuck in the mud. So I wanted to go over this because either the Second Amendment means what it says and says what it means, or it doesn't. A well-regulated or disciplined militia being necessary to the security of a free state. What are you protecting? Your freedom. Do not go near that precious jewel, Patrick Henry says. Nothing will preserve it but downright force. And don't you want to be armed if you're going to implement that force? Don't you want to be as empowered as you can possibly be when you're repelling the invader who's reaching out his hand to take your liberties? I think you do. I know I do. And if you're a sane person, you agree with that. Being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Why do you need a court ruling? Why does it need to be discussed in the lower courts? It was already settled, what, 240 something years ago? I want you to leave your thoughts about this. What do you think about, does the Second Amendment mean what it says, or doesn't it? And further, do we have a right, just because we're human beings, apart from the Second Amendment, to defend ourselves by whatever means necessary, up to and including having whatever the military has? Because that is the true essence of shall not be infringed. If we were to put it in Ebonics, I don't know, it'd say something like, ain't nobody got no right to take nothing that you got or limit you getting something that you want. Ain't nobody got no right. Shall not be infringed, shall not be hindered, shall not be halted, shall not be diminished at all, period. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. I will see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video. Guys, we already know that they want to decimate the dollar, destroy the economy, bring us into a cashless society, and eventually make it difficult for us to even get food. That's why I constantly promote My Patriot Supply. Every chance I get, I turn my fiat currency notes into long-term storable food. This stuff is awesome. It's got a 25-year shelf life. And one thing we're all going to need is storable food. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. With my link in the description, you get $100 off of every order instantly. It'd be a good idea to order it while you can, because I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be able to ship this out. My link for your $100 off discount is in the description below.